Hello, everybody. Welcome to vlog number 16. I just finished the SFA Sacred Femme Alchemy membership circle, our women's circle. We usually have a circle. Now I changed it at the beginning of the month instead of the full moon, just so people can really anchor into the theme. And the theme for August is all about honoring our wild heart and the wildish impulses that we have. And usually I have a visualization, I have a meditation, I have journal prompts, there's sharing. And so there's an opportunity for us to reflect on how we can embody a certain archetype or a certain trait. And honoring the wild heart is taking the wild woman archetype a step further. And so when we really honor our wild heart, it sees more than the eye. And oftentimes when we make decisions, it's about connecting from or just harmonizing our heart and our mind together. And what I also like to pull into the theme is connecting to our womb. And so oftentimes in the membership, I'll have them do, a visualization where they're connecting to their heart and also their womb. They're placing their hands on each of those body parts and even if you're a man too, and you're not born with a womb, you still have your energetic womb, which is also known as the Svadhisthana chakra, which is also known as the sacral chakra. It's also where sensuality, creativity develops. And for a woman, we really look at the womb as a void, a space for us to create and manifest. And so there's this direct line, a direct red line from your womb into your heart, where your heart is influencing. It's like this command center into your womb of what it wants to create and birth in this world, whether it's an actual physical human being or whether it's something that's energetically. And so it's so important to have these two tethered together to understand it. And then when those two are in sync, then the mind gets to come into play and think about what is the timeline and actions I need to step to take into that influence, that wildish impulse from my heart to bring into this world. What do I need to do? What do I need to release? What do I need to step into to make that happen? And so, sometimes it's so easy to think what we can and should do. A lot of the shoulds, when it's the shoulds that are talking to you, that's really of the mind. And so I invite you to think about for yourself, remembering a time when you were able to follow the wildish impulses of your heart. And the number one experience that I have was when I moved to New York when I was 21. It was during 2008 when Lehman Brothers had just crashed, and everybody thought that I was fucking crazy. They thought I was effing crazy for actually doing it. They thought I shouldn't. There was too much competition. There weren't enough jobs. But within less than a month, I think it was 2 weeks, I was able to get a job because I knew deep down in my body that I was meant to be there. And that even if it didn't make sense to anybody, I knew that I would regret for the rest of my life. And so that's what happens. That's how you really, really know at the gut, the visceral level, that what you are actually feeling and seeking is a truth is when you feel it in your body and you know that if you repress it, you will regret it for the rest of your life because that is a soul desire. Your heart is deeply connected to pleasing the soul. And it doesn't do it from an egoic place. And it doesn't do it from a foolish place. It doesn't do it from an irregulated nervous system place because it likes excitement and drama. But it does it from a place of, I believe that this is meant to happen. I know deep within my body, my bones, my DNA, that this is what is supposed to happen. And so I encourage you to really think of a time when you had an experience in your life where you decided to listen to your heart. Not only just listen to your heart, but what it actually felt like, what it looked like. And then what was that thing that you needed to take that action step of really calling and answering into your heart? And so after you're really connected to that experience and you really understand, what did I have to do to actually take action on that? And just know that within yourself that sometimes people are going to project their thoughts, their worries, insecurities, and fears on you. But how can you just let them have it? How can you not let it infiltrate your experience? How can you keep your blinders on? Right? Because there's something about that naivety that allows you to trump and move forward and triumph. And so whether you have experienced something like that, or whether you haven't yet, I'm sure there is something that's calling you that your heart's been whispering for you to do, but maybe you haven't taken action on it yet. And so if you haven't taken action on it yet, what are the fears and blocks that are inhibiting you? And as I'm saying this, I do want to mention that we are focusing on that in our Rebirth to Radiance 6-week Kundalini group coaching program, which is all about removing those blocks so you can fully live aligned to the life that you want to live in all areas of your life, whether it's relationships, work, body, self-love, right? Getting clarity on that. Because once you have clarity and get crystal clear on how the heart feels, what that vision is, and you bring awareness to any of those blocks that you have, any of those core wounds, then that's when you can become unstoppable. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then once you start doing it and once you start listening to your heart, there is no turning back, because anything that is not of the heart, you feel it deeply. You feel it as kind of like a ball in your stomach. And it was so interesting because I had a wonderful call yesterday with someone that I met online. And then today I had another call with someone that I met online. And I was like, oof, this does not feel good. It feels different. I had such polarizing experiences. And of course, I could say, oh, I should probably do this thing, with this person, but I'm not going to, right? Because once I start following my body, once I start knowing my energy pattern, once I start reading my own energy, once I start understanding how to read my own sensations, I can't abandon how I feel. I can't ignore it with logic anymore, because the feeling of it, the visceral feeling of it, the contraction I feel lets me know it's not a good idea. And it's not from fear. It's from, oh, this is not right. It's not a full on F yes. It's a full on oof F no. But I could feel the wheels turning. I could feel myself saying, oh, but you should do it. Already committed. Da, 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 da. No, no. So when we start to ignore ourselves, when we start to abandon ourselves, that's what our body knows, and subconsciously it knows that we can't trust ourselves. And then I see this happen all the time, where a lot of people just get confused over, well, what is the truth? What is my intuition? What is right? Da, 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 da. And so it's really important to be mindful of, how can you bring awareness to you? How can you bring awareness to your growth journey? How can you follow and understand and look at the sensations of what does it mean to connect deeply to your wild heart? And for each one of us, it's very, very different. It's all unique. We each have our own unique personal story. Our hearts are made differently. What we love is made differently. And so this is a path where you get to truly step into your wild self, whether you're wanting to do anything that's courageous and bold, and really just follow it. Because when you do that, you shine a light on all those other wild hearts and you give them permission to do the same. And so that was it was just more of a Dharma talk that I just gave, but I just felt really called to share this experience, and just share a little bit of reflection and prompts for you, because I believe that the more that each of us follow the wild impulses and the brilliances of our hearts and set intentions for how do we want to live, it allows us to be present. It allows us to live intentionally. It allows for people to become awake. And so really make that commitment to yourself. What are you calling in this month? What is your wild heart truly calling in this month? And so for me, my intention for this month is brilliance. So in the quiet, my wild heart is calling in brilliance, brilliance to be bold, brilliance to take the action I need to succeed in my business, brilliance to truly follow my heart, brilliance to have the courage to connect to my heart, and brilliance to live unapologetically, and brilliance to have boundaries like a sword, that if something doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right, and I don't need to explain it. Right? And so it's really, really giving yourself permission to be bold in what it is that you want and go after it. Because sometimes eventually what happens on the journey is that we realize we may have circumstances or conditions but the mindset often creates those circumstances or conditions. And how can we see another way? How can we see a way through every single block that we have? And how can we do the work to connect with our bodies, to connect with our spirit, to connect with our mind? How can we do the work to bring awareness? And how can we do the work energetically to change our mind, to change our subconscious so that we can have a different experience, not only for us, but for also for healing in this world? Because as we start to change and the people that we affect and are around start to change as well. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your colleagues, maybe it's your children. They start to think differently. And although the journey may start off selfishly for ourselves to really try and change because we want maybe something superficial, ultimately what happens is this inner journey changes our emotional environment. And the turmoil that we experience from our mind starts to have inner peace. And so I invite you to really think about, as we're still in the first week of August, what it is that you really want to call in and how can you follow your wildish heart. Okay, thank you so much. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.